you should try to at least generate a little bit of following before you go too hard in terms of TikTok Shop or the affiliates.
Welcome to Honest Ecommerce, a podcast dedicated to cutting through the BS and finding actionable advice for online store owners. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and I believe running a direct-to-consumer brand does not have to be complicated or a guessing game. On this podcast, we interview founders and experts who are putting in the work and creating real results. I also share my own insights from running our top Shopify consultancy, Electric Eye. We cut the fluff in favor of facts to help you grow your e-commerce business. Let's get on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Honest Ecommerce. Today, I'm welcoming to the show the VP of Marketing at Stratia, Breanna Greenberg. Breanna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it is so nice to have you. I'm excited to chat. So let's kind of let's dive in. You've been in the digital marketing world for almost 14 years now, maybe even longer. You want to give me a quick kind of synopsis of your career so far?
Yeah, so I started out as one of the very first social media managers in a time where that wasn't a common job or a term that we heard often. I was delighted to get to have one of my first my first role in Los Angeles really be something that was so fun. And then that was also at a time where social media was also e-commerce. It was Shopify merch stores, just like a whole host of things, reviews, community management. So all that was really wrapped into one, all of the websites and ticketing and all of that. So I worked for a bunch of comedians, comedy clubs, celebrities, hotels, and things like that. And then I got recruited to go to Tony & Guy right after that experience in agency. And I've been in beauty and on the brand side ever since. So I worked at Tony & Guy with the founding family. I have worked at Hinkle, which is the second largest beauty company behind L'Oreal in North America, professional beauty. I've been with Michelle Phan's M Cosmetics, which is very D2C native, as well as CAA's Beauty Incubator. And now I'm at Stratia.
Oh, that's amazing. A lot of fantastic brands on there. Now, let's talk about your job at Stratia. When you were hired, were there certain kind of things that they were looking for or problems that they were really hoping that you could help them solve?
Yeah. So when I was hired at Stratia, Stratia started out, we've been around for 8.5 years. Allie, our founder, Allie Reed, formulated it really in her kitchen as an answer to her own problem. She says it's like baking a batch of cookies. You couldn't just bake one, you had to bake a dozen. And so she was giving the extras out on Reddit. People really wanted it. She launched a little side hustle, and that turned into Stratia, which is now a huge brand, especially in terms of we manufacture everything in-house, where my marketing office typically is. Today I get to work from home. And we ship everything directly to your door with our own warehouse system. So it was quite the journey. And so when I came in 2.5 years ago, they had just secured investment from Fable, which is fantastic team. And they had one marketing person that had been moving on to a new role. So they're really looking to bring somebody in who understood marketing, but also was very understanding of the science and that the science is king and that we're not going to be focusing on trends. And at that time, they were very anti-marketing. So that was a super fun challenge for me to get to work for this brand and understand how I can just use marketing for a megaphone of the greater education and the purpose. So at that time, they were looking for somebody to head up marketing, but things were much different than they look now. We had a ton of agencies. Every little piece had an agency. Things are really disjointed. Now almost everything is in-house, and we're thriving more than ever before.
That's amazing. I guess my first question there would be, is coming in to a company that, as you said, was anti-marketing, and that is more than 50% of the letters in your title is marketing. Walk me through some of the first kind of processes and projects that you took on.
Yeah. So my very first project was to do a brand new site. So they had wireframes, but that was it. Like, I think my first week I saw the wireframes in like a draft form, and they never had model photography. They didn't have any of the assets, and they basically said, we're going to launch this in 6 weeks. Can you do it? And I said, of course I can. So, we did the whole website really, really quickly. I got to produce a bunch of content and do, their first ever model images. So that was really interesting. So there was a lot of projects. I think there was a lot of auditing of what was happening and maybe re-strategizing, refocusing budget. Like I said, a lot of the agencies just weren't performing anymore. Additional internal hires that needed to be made. So a lot was going on when I first joined, as well as an entire brand repackaging and a new brand book. They had never had an official brand book, so I was doing the brand book, and they wanted to move to sustainable packaging. And with that, they wanted to do a refresh of all of the designs just so that it would be more retail friendly. So I had a lot of projects right at the jump, but it was amazing. I was very drawn to a role that was very science-based and anti-marketing because my mom, I grew up with a single mother who was a genetic engineer, spending a lot of time on research for muscular dystrophy. And her biggest pet peeve growing up was when people tried to use bits and pieces of science and spin it to make themselves sound smart or to sell something that they shouldn't. So I think I had a little bit, I had a lot of ease going into the role, knowing I have a feeling I know exactly what they might be looking for. Granted, always more to learn, but it's been a pretty smooth ride.
Absolutely. So you got, I would say, all the ducks in a row. You got the brand book situated, which helps all over kind of your marketing, but you also a new website. And then how do you, well, I guess before you joined, obviously the brand was born off of kind of Reddit and referrals. What was the split like back then? Was it all 100% direct to consumer through the website? Was it, a majority Amazon? Was it a retail play?
Yeah, so it was all D2C. I think my second month or third month, we launched on Amazon with a partner. And we've also since taken that in-house. We took that in-house this year, and our sales have skyrocketed, even though myself and my digital lead are not experts at Amazon. I think a lot of times when you put your own love and passion behind something, it naturally does better than if you're one of many in a big agency format, depending on where you're at.
Absolutely. Going in with, obviously not being fans of marketing, what was kind of the first marketing thing you got them to agree to do?
Well, I think the first thing was, having models and their imagery in terms of they had a new site coming out.
So they didn't have, like, when you say models, you're saying like human beings.
Yeah, real life people using their product, I think, was kind of the first element to really humanize the brand and to help people understand touch and texture and how that might perform on their skin. So I think that was really helpful. Maybe 4 months in, we had a huge launch, which is now our second best-selling product after our Hero Lipid Gold, which was Interface. So I convinced Allie to let me take over our lab, and we had a huge influencer party there with like cocktails that were lit on fire, and everyone was in this lab setting, kind of where all the products were being made, but having more of like a glow in the dark type rave party that was science-based. So there was like a lot of really fun risks that she took with me, and it's been fantastic.
You alluded to, having all these influencers there. And now you guys do great things with TikTok and partnering with influencers. Can you walk us through kind of how that strategy evolved over the last couple of years?
Yeah. So influencers always been very core to what I do in marketing, just because I had started out in social. So I've seen firsthand kind of the effects of those channels and how it can be can be a lot less expensive than other means of acquisition. So I was super excited about the possibility of influencer and just organic gifting in general. But I will say, when I first started, the agency that we were working with for influencer basically said, "We are so sorry. No one wants to try the product. Like, you're going to have to pay a couple people just to accept a gift." And I was like, "Oh, wow." Like I was a little bit blown away, but I'm like, okay, like, let's try, let's go, talk to some people. And we found out that's not the case. And I think organic gifting was probably the very first thing that really helped us and catapulted us to that next level of growth in terms of new customer. And then the second thing that happened about 6 months later was really embracing TikTok and going all in on that platform. And that has been awesome for new customer as well.
Hey, Shopify store owners. Have you ever wondered if your store is leaving money on the table? Imagine increasing sales without spending more money on ads. Sounds too good to be true. Well, it's not. I'd like to introduce you to StoreTester. StoreTester is a done-for-you conversion rate optimization service for Shopify merchants. Could your store benefit from increased conversion rates, higher average order values, and improved revenue per visitor? StoreTester could be the perfect partner for you. From ideation to implementation, this full-service A/B testing service takes all of the guesswork out of improving Shopify stores. StoreTester does all the work for you while offering month-to-month transparent fixed pricing. It gets even better. They believe in their service so much, they're offering the first test for free for qualified merchants. Let me repeat. The first test is free for qualified merchants. Curious to see if you qualify for a free test? Reach out today. Visit StoreTester.com to schedule an intro call. That's www.StoreTester.com. Schedule an intro call today to see if you qualify for a free test. Hey everybody, today's podcast is brought to you by Intelligems, the ultimate profit optimization tool for Shopify merchants. I'm telling you this, obviously you know I own an agency. We use Intelligems when we're running split testing and CRO stuff for all of our clients. Are you looking to maximize your profits? Intelligems offers data-driven solutions to optimize your content, prices, discounts, and shipping rates. Join over 500 happy clients who have seen significant improvements. With Intelligems, you gain control over your e-commerce economics, boosting your profit per visitor by an astonishing 36%. But that's not all. Intelligems users report a 54.62 increase in revenue per visitor and a remarkable rise in conversion rates. How does Intelligems do it? Through a suite of tools that allows you to A/B test everything on your Shopify store, from landing pages to product prices and shipping rates. Imagine testing new layouts, offers, even a new Shopify theme with ease. We're testing a new landing page for our client on a new theme versus an old landing page on their old theme right now. Intelligems empowers you to find the perfect price point for your products and optimize your shipping strategy. But there's more. Boost your average order value with customized campaign offers and discover if your customers prefer free shipping or a lower list price. With over $100 million in incremental profit generated, they have over 1.5 billion transactions ran through their software. They have over 400 million shoppers that have gone through their test. Intelligems is not a tool, it's a game changer for your business. Are you ready to transform your Shopify store's profitability? Book a demo today at Intelligems.io. Empower your brand to reach new heights. Again, that's Intelligems, giving superpowers to your customer acquisition, retention, and overall profitability. Let's kind of dive in a little bit more on organic gifting and break it down. Pretend I don't know, have a clue what you're talking about, and walk me through exactly what that was.
Yeah, so organic gifting has been a practice that I think has been going strong for at least the last decade, but still tends to work very well. I'm so sorry. I have a needy little animal. I have a little Bichon that hears me talking and wants to join. So it's a tried and true practice. It's been around forever. It's nothing new. However, organic gifting is when you find people that might be part of your target audience or influencers who you think might enjoy your brand, and you just ask them if they would be interested in trying the product, and you send out a gift. A lot of it was just one-off, and we were either recommending a certain product or getting their feedback as to what their skin need would be, and we could send customized packages. And then there's also more of the mass seeding where there's a new product launch or product we're focusing on. So we create a PR box and then everyone is organically receiving that.
Absolutely. So you're finding potential new customers or potential new influencer partners and just gifting them the product with no strings attached?
No strings attached. And I think that's the very best way to find the paid influencer partnerships too, because you're going to see naturally who enjoys the product, who wants to talk about it, who feels like it's aligned for them, versus when you just drop 10K on one Instagram post from somebody and hope that it works out. For starters, it's really disjointed for your audience and for their audience. When they see somebody mention something for the first time and it's in a very paid and promotional way, it's much better if there is a slow lead in and people are seeing that relationship be built in real time. So that's always been fantastic. And it's also a great way for the influencer, if they are interested in working with the brand, to show them, hey, like this is almost like their interview. When they post organic gifting, this is almost like their interview saying, hey, I am aligned. This is kind of the content I can make for you. Do you want to proceed with a paid partnership?
Absolutely. Now, my follow up there would be like, I'm assuming it's kind of like a numbers game. Like, how many kind of reactions do you get back? I guess I just kind of want to set expectations for listeners out there that think that they might want to try a strategy like this.
Yeah. So when we were first starting out, I'll talk about total sends. We were only sending maybe like 50 a month, then we ramped up to 100. Now we send about 200 to 300 packages if we have a new launch. And we would love to send a few thousand packages outside of launches a month. We're not quite there yet. But it is a very different game depending on what type of influencer you're targeting. So people that are more of like the traditional blogger, Instagram influencer, especially if you have an account that looks somewhat professional and polished and they can tell that this is a real business, the response rate is going to be pretty decent. I'd say about 70 to 80% response rate. And as people see you either doing some sort of event or seeing this rollout of other influencers talking about you, all of the influencers are going to want to work with you a little bit more because now they're familiar. So that has been really great. Now, when it comes to TikTok influencers and TikTok affiliates, when you're gifting people that way through like their affiliate platform, a 2 to 3% return is kind of what you can expect in the beginning. So you could be sending out to 100 people and you might get 2 responses. And that is very normal on that platform. So if you are targeting TikTok and you don't want to go the affiliate route, I would suggest finding your TikTok influencers and then finding another way to communicate with them, whether that be in an email or on a different social platform. And then you're able to build a relationship that way.
Absolutely. It's you kind of mentioned the snowball effect. It's you're trying to work with them, but they also want to make sure that you're not, some sort of fly by night business as well. So you need to look professional and legit on your end, on having the events like you said, and having other partnerships that are already working kind of makes it more enticing to build those new relationships. And I think that's just networking in and of itself it's kind of hard to get those first core partners, and then it starts to kind of snowball from there.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is I've done this at so many different brands where you start from zero. And so I want to say that it is not super expensive and it is relatively easy to start. So yes, it's going to be a little harder, a little slower going in the beginning, but it's still not very difficult and it's still not very expensive.
Yeah, it's the expenses, the margin on the product, and
Shipping
the
costs.
shipping, and that's it. So obviously, if you've got a luxury product or something that's super expensive, this might not be a strategy for you. Don't go around gifting $4,000 couches, or maybe I don't know. This isn't that's not my world, but if you could guess how many samples do you think that you've sent out at Stratia, since you started?
Maybe about 12,000 in the last 2.5 years, maybe more. I think it's also interesting. For instance, we just did BeautyCon. And so for that, we really, instead of putting our money in a booth, we might have spent $600 decorating our booth for the event. But we spent all of our money in gifting free products. So at that event alone, outside of the number I just gave you, we gave out about 2,000 products to people that were walking by, as well as an additional 1,000 products in the VIP gift bags. And just as a baseline, a lot of the brands that you see, especially in beauty, that are doing well, are gifting about like 4,000 products a week to really take over and go viral and be one of the top 10.
Absolutely, yeah. I do know that we've got a few clients that work in that are in the beauty space, and it's free gift with purchase is like the number one thing that you got to make work on Shopify when we're working with them. So they can always be changing that offer, and they're using it in wild ways. They're sampling older product that they might not be reordering, or they're testing new product to see what the market says about it. Like just beyond, wowing people on the website, they use it in various different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think that after you have, obviously, if things are going well, keep things the way they are. If you need to make some changes, do that. But I think also now that we have a baseline and we have an understanding of our business, now is the time that we can add in and layer in all these amazing agency partners and actually have it work.
Absolutely. Now, we talked so much about how gifting worked for you. Let's pivot over to TikTok and talk a little bit about that. Obviously, the return there with using the affiliate partners is a little bit lower than reaching out and different through other channels. But what about the content play with TikTok and kind of building a community there? How did you attempt to crack that?
Yeah, I think if I was to start from a zero, I would much prefer to focus and put all the eggs in the content side and then growing the account and maybe putting paid behind that before foraying into affiliate. I think there's been so many, I'm like, there between TikTok shop, affiliate, and organic, there's so many things to talk about. But in terms of TikTok, organic, or just the overall TikTok account, I was setting KPIs for 2023. We only had a few thousand followers. We'd had a couple videos go viral, but nothing consistent. And we were really thinking, the question was posed to me, do we scale back? Do we not move forward in terms of TikTok? Do we focus more on the channels that are really performing? Because I've been in social so long and I kind of seen the rise and fall and how things have morphed into the next iteration or the next platform. I wasn't so comfortable with that just because I knew even if TikTok didn't work and it didn't stay around, those kind of practices of the short form video that's really engaging and feels a little bit more organic and live selling, all of that's going to continue on to the next platform. So because of that, we decided to just focus a little bit more on it. And the one thing that really changed for us was I started doing engagement ads, very low cost engagement ads for follower growth. And that was amazing because basically I was boosting our best performing content that typically had a lot of scientific education to a much larger audience. That was the audience that might be likely to actually be a core customer and follow us. So we were getting our brand out, we were getting the awareness, we were getting the education, we were getting a net new customer, and we were growing that profile. So we went from about 3,000 followers to about 64,000 followers in a couple of months. And then we've grown ever since. And we don't have to continue doing that kind of ad spend if we don't need to do ads for that. But just to get yourself up and going, I think that's really important because you do want people to land on your page and understand that you are the official brand. So you should try to at least generate a little bit of following before you go too hard in terms of TikTok shop or the affiliates.
Absolutely. Now, is there anything I didn't ask you about today that you think would resonate with our audience?
I think the one thing, just because everyone is looking for additional ways to generate revenue and kind of the most profitable streams, I think when it comes to TikTok shop, obviously breaking thresholds and having a bunch of affiliates that have your products in their shop is great. But the one thing that we've seen, and we've been seeing it since this time last year, is that going live consistently is really what's the one thing that helps boost TikTok shop sales. So yes, it is a little bit of a time commitment, but going live is free. So, I mean, there's a win-win there. So yeah, I think going live in terms of TikTok shop has been the one thing that has moved the needle for us more than maybe some of the other ways of engaging on TikTok.
Yeah, I guess my assumption would be even if they don't watch the live stream, you get the notification that people you are following goes live, and it's almost like a free push notification.
That, and I think it's also whatever platform of the moment and whatever they're testing or whatever their priority is, they're going to give you a little bit of a boost if you're participating in their initiative. So I know TikTok likes TikTok Live right now. Yeah. So, and they are obviously trying to build their shop. So I feel like it's probably the timing of it all that's helpful too.
Absolutely. Now, if I am listening to this episode and I am curious about the product and the science behind it and to see all the amazing stuff that you've helped curate on the website, where should I go? What should I do?
Yeah. So go to stratiaskin.com. There's a couple of really cool things. One, we have an ingredient glossary. So for every single product, if you scroll over, you can see what the ingredient is, the research behind it, and why it's in the formula. A lot of times people do this with like third-party softwares. Allie, our founder and lead chemist and our formulator, she actually wrote every definition by hand and why it's specifically in each formula that we have. So I would highly recommend checking that out. In addition to, I took photos of the exact ingredient. So that's really fun. Other things that are really fun is if you see us on social, we will show you our office where we are making everything in the lab and how each of your bottles are made. We have a very small all-female team that's making every bottle by hand. So that's really fun. There's an awesome skincare quiz, which I know most people have quizzes, but again, Allie wrote every possible variant of what your skin type might be so that you can have education specifically about your skin coming from her.
Oh, that's amazing, Breanna. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing all that awesome information.
Amazing. Thank you for having me, Chase.
We can't thank our guests enough for coming on the show and sharing their knowledge and journey with us. We've got a lot to think about and potentially add into our own businesses. You can find all the links in the show notes. You can subscribe to the newsletter at honestecommerce.co to get each episode delivered right into your inbox. If you're enjoying this content, consider leaving a review on iTunes. That really helps us out. Lastly, if you're a store owner looking for an amazing partner to help you get your Shopify store to the next level, reach out to Electric Eye at electriceye.io/connect. Until next time.